Okay, as I said, we're going to get some clay ready for the extruder, and the clay I took out of the bag was pretty firm. So what I did in preparation for this was to slice some of that clay up into what I call toast. You see here, I dampened this big old bath towel and got it pretty good and wet, wrung it out, and then laid it in the tray and laid my toast out, even with the heels here, so to speak, and laid them out, covered them over like this, of course, kind of packaged it all within the borders of my cafeteria tray, and left that overnight until I could feel that this towel was starting to dry a bit, and I knew that the clay was probably ready. Gave it the old push test, and so it's certainly ready for some easy wedging. So I'm going to take it all out of the tray, and I'll set the tray aside, have my toast all out of its towel, get this out of the way, and we can start with this. So like I said, this is something that, you know, for those of you that work with clay routinely, I'm not going to make this a wedging tutorial really, but the question comes up always when you're extruding is, do you use clay that comes straight out of the bag and trust that the manufacturer of that got all the air out, or do you, not being sure, do you wedge routinely anyway? You know, I have had good luck with the clay that I've purchased over the years from here in the Northwest, from Georgie's out in where the hell is Georgie's? Portland or someplace? I buy it from a local supplier, but at any rate, I've been pretty comfortable just putting a trimmed down clay right out of the bag into my extruder and going from there. What I get in the way of bubbles is something I can manage or repair. It isn't ruinous to my projects typically, so I don't really worry about it too much. But if you're looking to do fine work, you want to definitely manage your clay and learn how to wedge well and learn wedging techniques. If you don't have the hands for it, you're going to have to develop those. So again, like I said, I don't want to spend a lot of time with this, but doing a simple hand to the side wedge like this is somewhat limited. Most of you who work with your clay will learn sort of a conical wedge to get more of the air out of the ends here. While I'm talking about this though, one thing that comes to mind is that if you have a big extruding job that's going to involve, say, a half a bag of clay, then you're going to find it difficult. At least my hands are small, and I'd have a heck of a time trying to wedge up. What would that be? 12.5 pounds of clay? It's ridiculous. So I have to do it in stages. And the thing I have to do is and again, this is something that many of you do, is I just take an ordinary cutting wire that hopefully while I'm trying to talk to you, I don't get all tangled in knots, make a fool of myself. Wouldn't be the first time. At any rate, if you're ever getting ready to do a video for some people, have your cut wire ready. Here we go. Lucky me. Okay, cut through it is the way to assess whether or not you're getting your wedging done pretty well. If you see that you cut through this thing and you're not seeing big bubbles like that, then you're good to go. If you're still seeing them, put it back together and keep wedging. I mean, that's essentially it. The thing of it is that if you don't have good wedging technique, you might actually be introducing more air because you don't wedge well. That's what I used to go through with my students all the time, is to say, if you're working making bread, you're trying to introduce some air. And if you're doing the same way, then you're better off just using it right out of the bag, I think. Take your chances. But the point being here is that if you have this much clay and you want to use it this much in your extruder, then push the two together, get a meld. I bet I'm shaking the hell out of this camera, I'm sorry. I won't keep doing that because that's a little distracting. Trust me that the point I'm trying to make here is that I'm trying to meld the two piles of clay, and I'll keep rolling them and checking it and putting them back together that way, at the risk of shaking the camera again. Well, I won't. Pound it down and meld the clay, cut through it, and if you're still getting air, keep putting it back together until you can finally be assured that you have a nice mass of clay ready for your extruder. Now, the final point here in this video is The Bailey has a barrel that's 4.5 inches square. What we're going to do when I get ready to put this clay in the barrel is I'm going to have this big old pug of clay I'm making, something just a little bit less than 4.5 inches square. Not sure how long that'll make it because I'm going to use all this clay. But that way I know that I can drop this thing right down the barrel. I don't have to force feed it down there with a bunch of stuff squishing out the sides. So we're going to do that next. That's it for this segment. Here's another one coming up in just a second. Thanks a lot, folks.